And of course, there are no two countries that are close to new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fair.
Breaking. Donald Trump just did the unthinkable. Mid-call with Britain's Prime Minister, he hit mute, and the whole world watched Keir walk. Starmer keep talking into dead air. This wasn't a technical glitch. This was a power move, and it's exposed something far deeper than one awkward phone call. According to sources familiar with the conversation, Starmer was mid-sentence, discussing intelligence sharing agreements between the US and UK under the Five Eyes alliance, when Trump allegedly silenced him. Reports suggest the split screen showed Starmer still speaking while Trump sat back, stone-faced and unmoved. The optics? Absolutely brutal. But before we go any further, let's be real. If you want the unfiltered truth on what's really happening in Westminster, on both sides of the Atlantic, and inside the corridors of power that the mainstream media won't touch, hit that subscribe button right now. We're just getting started, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, here's why this moment matters more than just embarrassing headlines. This call comes at a time when Britain's political credibility on the world stage is hanging by a thread. Starmer's Labour government has faced relentless criticism over border policy, the treatment of military veterans, rising crime, and mounting pressures from the European Court of Human Rights on deportation rulings that many Brits see as a direct threat to sovereignty. Trump, freshly re-elected and riding a nationalist wave that swept him back into the Oval Office, has made it crystal clear he has zero patience for what he perceives as weak, woke leadership. And Starmer, whether you support him or despise him, just got publicly dressed down on the world stage in a way that no British Prime Minister has experienced in decades. Let's talk about what's really boiling under the surface here, because this goes far beyond one muted phone call. The United Kingdom is caught in an impossible political position. On one side, the European Court of Human Rights is blocking deportations of illegal migrants, many of whom have criminal records. On the other, British veterans, the men and women who put their lives on the line for this country, are sleeping on the streets while hotel rooms across the nation are being used to house asylum seekers at taxpayer expense. It's a political powder keg, and it's about to explode. And Starmer's response? He's been trying to play both sides. Reassure the international community that Britain is still a cooperative, progressive partner, while telling the British public he's tough on borders and serious about national security. Trump saw through it. One button press and the entire facade cracked wide open. Within minutes, social media erupted. Hashtags like #StarmerMuted, #TrumpVStarmer, and #special relationship trended globally. Twitter, now X, was flooded with memes, jokes, and brutal takedowns. Even Labour insiders, speaking anonymously to the press, were reportedly furious. Some MPs are privately asking whether this damages the so-called special relationship beyond repair. Others are questioning whether Starmer has the political backbone to stand up to anyone, let alone a figure as dominant and unpredictable as Donald Trump. But here's the thing. This isn't just about Trump being rude or Starmer being humiliated. This is about respect. And right now, on the global stage, Britain isn't commanding it. Here's the part the mainstream media won't tell you, because it doesn't fit their narrative. This isn't about Trump being a bully. This is about what happens when a nation loses its sense of direction, when leadership becomes more about optics than outcomes, and when virtue signalling replaces actual strength. For decades, the United Kingdom has been seen as America's closest ally. The Five Eyes intelligence sharing agreement, joint military operations in Iraq, Afghanistan and beyond. Cultural and economic ties that run deeper than almost any other bilateral relationship on Earth. But under successive governments, both Conservative and Labour, that relationship has frayed. Brexit created tension. Leadership changes created uncertainty. And now, under Starmer, the cracks are becoming canyons. Trump doesn't do diplomacy for show. He does deals. And if he doesn't see value, strength or reciprocity, he walks away. Or in this case, he mutes you and moves on. Keir Starmer walked into that call thinking he could charm his way through, that he could lean on historical ties and shared values to smooth over the rough edges. But Trump doesn't care about charm. He doesn't care about history unless it serves the present. He cares about strength, leverage and results. And what he saw on that call was a prime minister trying to sell orders, intelligence cooperation while his own country can't even control its borders, can't deport criminals and can't take care of its own people. That's not a partner, that's a liability. And let's be brutally honest about the optics back home, because this is where the anger really lives. British veterans, men and women who served in Northern Ireland, the Falklands, Iraq and Afghanistan are struggling. underfunded, overlooked, in some cases sleeping rough on the streets of cities they once defended. Meanwhile, billions of pounds are being spent on processing asylum claims, housing migrants in hotels, and fighting legal battles in European courts that many Britons believe have no right to dictate UK law. That's not propaganda. That's not exaggeration. That's documented policy. And it's why so many ordinary Britons, from all political backgrounds, are absolutely furious. You don't have to agree with every word Tommy Robinson says to see that he was raising these issues years ago, while the establishment called him a racist and threw him in jail. You don't have to be a right-wing nationalist to see that something is fundamentally broken when foreign nationals who commit crimes can't be deported because of human rights laws, while British citizens who speak out online are arrested for so-called hate speech. This is the context Trump sees. This is the weakness he's calling out. And this is why that mute button wasn't just a personal slight. It was a referendum on Britain's entire political direction. Now, let's talk about what's happening behind closed doors in Westminster, because this is where the story gets even more interesting. Word from inside the Labour Party: absolute chaos. Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, is reportedly livid, though her team won't confirm whether her anger is directed at Trump or at Starmer's handling of the call. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary and a rising star in the party, is said to be distancing himself from the incident, telling allies this is a communications failure that could have been avoided. Backbenchers are whispering about leadership challenges. Not today, not tomorrow, but the seeds are being planted. Because here's the reality. Labour won the last election, but they didn't win it convincingly. They won it because the Conservatives imploded. And now, barely months into government, Starmer is already looking vulnerable. This isn't just bad PR. This is a fracture, a crack in the foundation. And Trump, intentionally or not, just exposed it to the world. And he knows it. Trump didn't just mute Starmer to be petty. He did it to send a message. To Europe, to China, to every ally and adversary watching. The message was simple. Britain, under this leadership, is not strong. And if you're not strong, we'll move on without you. That should terrify anyone who cares about Britain's place in the world. Let's zoom out for a second, because this moment has implications far beyond one awkward phone call. We're living in a world where power is shifting. China is asserting dominance in the Pacific. Russia is pushing boundaries in Eastern Europe. The Middle East is a tinderbox. And the alliances that held the post-World War II order together are under strain like never before. Britain, for all its history, is a mid-sized power now. It doesn't have the empire. It doesn't have the economic weight it once did. What it has is influence, intelligence capabilities, and relationships. The special relationship with the United States is the crown jewel of that influence. Lose that, and Britain becomes just another European country shouting into the void. Trump's mute button was a warning shot. It said, "Get your house in order, or we'll stop listening altogether." And the terrifying thing? He might already have stopped. So where does this leave us? With a Prime Minister who can't command respect abroad, a government that's failing veterans at home, a legal system that protects criminals over citizens, and a public that's had enough. This isn't about left versus right anymore. This isn't about Brexit or Remain. This isn't even about Trump. This is about competence, leadership, sovereignty, dignity. And right now, Britain is lacking all four. The British people deserve better. They deserve leaders who put them first, who fight for their interests, not for approval from Brussels or Strasbourg, who understand that strength isn't aggression, but it isn't weakness either, and who recognise that the world respects power, not platitudes. Keir Starmer had a chance to show strength on that call. Instead, he got muted, and the world took note. If this makes your blood boil, you're not alone. Thousands of Britons are waking up to the reality that we've been sold out by politicians who care more about international appearances than national interests, more about virtue signalling than actually governing, more about staying in power than deserving it. Hit like if you think Starmer needs to answer for this. Subscribe if you want the raw truth, not the sanitised in some icy spin. The BBC and mainstream outlets are selling. And drop a comment below. Do you think Britain's leadership is strong enough to stand up to Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, or anyone else? Or are we watching the decline of a once great nation in real time? Because this fight isn't over. It's just beginning. The establishment wants you to forget this happened by next week. They want you to move on, to accept the decline, to stay quiet. But we're not staying quiet, we're not moving on, and we're not accepting this as the new normal. Let's take our country back. One video, one voice, one truth at a time. Subscribe now. Let's go.